clubs, and exercise instructors. Today, as part of our Everyday People series, we're talking to fitness experts about how they manage their workouts and yours. Joining me today, Keena Lampkins, wellness instructor and owner of Four Friends Fitness. Welcome.
Thank you.
Thanks for being here.
Thank you.
Kent Campbell, strength and conditioning coach at Momentum Fit in Ponte Vedra Beach. Hey, Kent.
Hey, how's it going?
And Christy Jones, spin instructor at the First Coast YMCA.
Hi.
Good morning.
Good morning.
To our listeners, have you set fitness goals for the new year? We want to hear from you. Give us a call at 549-2937 or email us at firstcoastconnect@wjct.org. You can also message us on Facebook and Instagram or tag us on X at FCC On Air. Keena, I'd like to start with you. You grew up as an athlete, but your view of fitness has evolved over the years. Tell us a little bit about how you came to this work in the first place.
As you said, I grew up right here in Jacksonville, Florida, on the north side, and ended up playing basketball in high school and college. And through that experience, it just gave me such a discipline for my health and fitness that I wanted to leverage to teach others.
Mm-hmm. And so Four Friends Fitness is a very kind of specific organization that you began because of personal experience.
Yes, it started as a favor to a friend, and I was gainfully employed at a physical therapy company here in town for many years, and someone that went to my church actually asked me to help them because they were having some, issues being mobile, and they just felt down, and so I volunteered to help them, and it was through that act of kindness that Four Friends Fitness was birthed. So I decided from my experiences being an athlete and working in physical therapy and just in my walks of life that I wanted to create something that provided support for my clients, where they felt like they were being heard and that their needs were going to be met. And so I limited the session classes sizes to 4.
Interesting. And so, Christy, you work with large groups very often. You do spinning classes.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about kind of your approach to fitness, whether the group element matters, kind of like Keena said.
Oh, I'm a Group X instructor, so it matters a lot to me. And I think the reason why is because if you're at home and you're going to get up and I'm going to go work out in my home garage, there are a lot of people who can do that. But there's no accountability really with that. If you are a part of a gym, if you have group exercise classes that you can go participate in and it's at a certain time and you need to get there, it kind of makes it a little easier, not to mention, the friendships that you build when you're there and the camaraderie and other people, wanting to live the same lifestyle and have the same type goals. And it makes it much easier, makes it fun, honestly. And that's why I love it. And I love seeing people come in and have the relationships and grow together, be healthy together, keep each other accountable. And I personally, I can't work out at home by myself. I just don't have it in me. So I love to be around people, and I love to have the accountability for myself. And as an instructor, and I get paid, I have to be there. So the accountability for me is even better.
Kent Campbell, you work and do some CrossFit training for people. Is that correct?
Yes, not as much anymore, but yes. I did that for about 5-6 years.
And I may not be alone in thinking that that's a pretty intense bunch of people when it comes to working out. Highly motivated, very
for sure,
committed.
Yes.
But maybe more prone to injury. I don't know. How do you manage wellness and delivering on people's fitness goals and also keeping them on a healthful and safe regimen?
So every gym's going to be a little bit different. It really boils down to the experience and qualifications of the instructors, making sure they're in a safe environment. You do get the competitive, more egocentric people kind of gravitate towards those type of workouts. So I think that's when it's really important that you have a qualified coach to make sure you're scaling down the intensity for each individual to make sure it's safe and effective. Honestly, the instructor can make or break the entire class for sure.
And how do you recognize that? Like when you're looking at a class of people, you're interacting with them, how do you recognize, what each needs?
So you're always observing movement. You're observing facial expressions. It can take a while sometimes to be able to pick up on cues like that. But as you get more experience, you can definitely kind of pick those things up, and you go to those people, and maybe it's just a verbal cue or a tactile cue, whatever it may be, but you're constantly instructing, even though if you're in a big group, each one is getting individual attention.
And can you give us an example of like how that might work?
So let's say, we're doing a workout and someone's just doing like a bodyweight squat, and you see them kind of caving over, like the chest is coming over, they're not really getting a full range of motion, the knees maybe caving in, something like that. Then I'm just going to go over, I'm going to maybe place my hand on their back, like, hey, let's get your chest up. Let's make sure we're driving our knees out. Just something simple, that way they can just focus on to make sure they're moving with like correct range of motion.
It's hard because when you get tired, obviously your form is one of the first things to fall away.
Exactly. And one thing with gyms like that, you really don't have mirrors to kind of see, to kind of self-check. So that's what we're there for. We're there to be your monitor and, safety check.
I never thought about that. So what is it about gyms like that? Why do they not have mirrors? Is there like a idea behind that?
Well, it's to focus more on the movement itself and not just like looking at yourself. It's more of the mind-muscle connection and not just looking at what you're seeing in the mirror. I think that's part of it. And also the wall space is very valuable for workouts like that because you do gymnastic movements. So you are utilizing the space, and mirrors is just not very safe for that.
And Keena, I think you told me that at one point when you were younger, you had suffered an injury that impacted your athleticism.
Yes, when I was in college.
And how did that impact your view of fitness and wellness overall?
Well, I saw the power of what exercise can do, what commitment can do, what the mindset, not to give up can do. And so I felt that it was right in line with what I'm doing now.
Did the injury shape your expectation of your own body or the vulnerability that you felt?
It did. I was young, a freshman in college. I wasn't expecting to tear my ACL, and it was a long road.
That's a tough injury.
It is. Yeah.
And not uncommon for basketball.
Right. I think it's probably the most common.
And so you limit the size of your groups. Is it always to 4, or is that just kind of the name of the organization?
No, it's a max of 4. That's our guarantee that we never go over 4 at a
And
time.
how do you bring them together? Do they know each other beforehand? How does that work out?
In some cases, if they don't, we will match them up with someone. It usually it revolves around scheduling. So if there are 2 ladies that need a 5 o'clock session, then they'll be paired together and so on and so forth. But they end up making friends as a result of the experience.
Yeah, I imagine that's a kind of a collegial experience. To our listeners, if you're just getting started on your 2024 fitness journey, or if you've struggled with earlier New Year's resolutions, we want to hear your story. Give us a call at 549-2937. You can also message us on Facebook or Instagram. You can tag us on X at FCC On Air or send an email to firstcoastconnect@wjct.org. Christy, what is the secret to sustained fitness? Is there a formula for success that works for people, for everyone?
Honestly, I think it's finding your routine, finding what works for you, and doing it. Even when you don't feel like it, even when there's excuses, anybody can come up with any excuse.
It's really cold out.
I don't feel like it. I don't want to get out of this bed. Something else sounds better right now. You can always find an excuse not to do something. But if you just stay in your routine, and on those days when it's hard, you still get up and you go, and it may not even be your best workout, but you're going to feel better by getting up and going and staying in that routine. Once you get into the habit of that and your brain's like, yes, this is what happens, this is what I'm doing, then it becomes a little easier. And when you miss your routine, something feels a little off. You just don't feel right, I think that's the best way to reach any type of goal, honestly, is to get a routine, make a plan, stick with it.
And I have seen fitness instructors in my life who are doing 1, 2, 3, 4 classes a day, especially these intense workouts. Like I think of like a fit spinning classes.
Yeah,
they're pretty intense.
It
How do you keep a pace? What has your busiest schedule been, and how do you maintain just your own balance?
I teach 6 classes a week, and it is a lot. I say I like pedal in my sleep, honestly. But I think my body's used to it now from being in my own routine, and I'm used to it. But the thing I love about spinning is that it doesn't get old. Every workout it can be as hard as you want. It can be as easy as you want. It's every class is different. I look forward to every class. I look forward to seeing all the members. But I think my I think my body's just used to it at this point. Honestly.
And is that your primary workout, or do you go to other classes? Do you do
Well,
other?
I don't have time to do other classes, but doing 6 a week. But I do incorporate weight training. I do my own weight training in the gym with weights, just because I need my own little time. A lot of people, and I'm one of them. Working out is my therapy. That's my time to be with myself, and to be in my own head, to feel good about what I'm doing for myself. And when I'm teaching those classes, I feel like I'm giving myself to other people for that reason. So I like to do weight training on my own 2 days a week for my own self and my own sanity, and body.
Mm-hmm. Kent, you said that you've kind of moved away from doing exclusively CrossFit. What is behind that move?
So I just wanted a little bit more stability in my work. I had some kind of like life changes happen over the past year and a half. So I wanted a little more flexibility with my work as well. So that's why I moved over to Momentum Fit in Ponte Vedra. And I'm doing basically strictly private training, semi-private, and then very small groups, no more than 3 to 4 people at a time.
And, you mentioning that raises an interesting point, because a lot of people depend on their instructor to be there for them every day, and to be reliable in that sense, and kind of forget that you have your own health challenges, life challenges, things that can be distracting for you when it comes to just getting up and doing the work.
Right.
So how do you manage that? And how do you communicate that, if you do, to your clients?
So some of my days can be very long. I mean, I may train 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. on some days, and that leaves me very little to no time to have any private or fitness time for myself. So I just have to understand that I need to maximize my time on the days that are not so busy. I kind of tell some of my clients who say they cannot find the time during the week, maybe to fit in the workouts. I was like, okay, well, what do your weekends look like? If your weekends are free, maybe we need to prioritize your weekends. And then if you can add in 1 or 2 extra workouts over the course of the week, then that's great. We've got 3, 4 workouts over the course of the week. So just maximizing the free time that you have and not getting overly stressed on the days that I'm busy. I don't want to add to an already stressful day of being like, oh gosh, I didn't get my workout in today. The day's ruined. No, tomorrow's a new day. I have more time. So then I'm going to prioritize that the next day.
We've got a call, Regina from Mandarin. Good morning, Regina. Thanks for calling First Coast Connect.
Good morning, and thanks for taking my call. I'm geriatric. I'm 66 years old. I'm still capable of finishing a river run in 2.25 hours. What I find is that I'm too slow for the elite runners, and I'm too fast for walking, but there's no group activities for seniors that want to push themselves, or even swimming or anything else. And I'm curious, do the panelists know of anything for seniors that's sort of beyond silver sneakers and balance workouts and things that become naturally with aging, but isn't very elite? So
Yeah.
I'll take my answer off the air.
Thanks, Regina. It's a great question, because there are, I think, programs. In fact, one of our guests who wasn't able to make it today does line dancing for seniors. And that's a great thing. It gets them up, it gets them moving. But Regina,
I have something for her.
okay, because she
Okay.
sounds a little more hardcore. She's running the
I
Gate
love
River
that.
Run. Mhm.
So that's funny. I have members who take my class, all ages. I have members in their 80s who take my spin classes. What I've been doing the past 2 years, and we're right in the middle of the 3rd year, is training for the river run, and I'm doing it by using spin classes. Spin classes, the reason I love them, a lot of doctors recommend them to people, is because there's no impact. Your joints are protected. And so but you're able to push yourself on the bike with resistance, like you're running up and down hills, and you're using endurance, pushing yourself. So it's a great cross-training tool for running. So what I've done is this group called Pedaling to the River Run, and we do 4 spin classes a week, and then we do one day a week where you can walk or run outside, because you still need impact training. Otherwise, you will beat that body up after running that river run. So we do that for 12 weeks. And the first year I did it 3 years ago, it was something I did myself to train for the river run, because I've been doing it. This will be my 13th one.
Oh, great.
So that's how I've been training myself the past few years. And And so I started with just a few people in my classes 3 years ago. I had 34 people do the training and finish, and half of them were over the age of 60 and had never done the river run before.
Really?
Yeah, it was amazing. Last year, I had 73 people do it, and not half, but more than a quarter of the people were over the age of 60 and did it for the second time in a row, and some for the first time. So spinning is a great cross-training tool. You can be at anywhere in your health journey, and you can get into a class and do it.
Mm-hmm.
You really can.
And also, I would say, Ann, that personal training is very good for seniors too, because it's personal, and you have someone professionally assessing your skill level and prescribing exercises based off that. So for friends, we have our oldest client is 83 years old, and she can hold a plank for about a minute and a half. She's like 83 years old. So, but it's through our relationship with her and assessing her skill level that we can continually push and advance her toward her goals.
And I would guess, I mean, as you get older, there are issues that, affect you physically. It may be more important to get that kind of guidance when you're
Right.
getting older.
Right.
And so how do you address those needs specifically of an older client?
We start with an assessment for everyone, and with seniors especially, it's important that they have a strong core, because that's where the balance, the improvements in balance start. So with our seniors, we really try to focus on core strengthening, so that we can help improve their balance overall, in addition to strengthening in other areas.
Yeah, you're all sitting up very straight because you guys have very strong cores. I'm feeling slumped over here. Ken, how important is that to your clients, core strength? Is that something that you also focus on even for younger people?
Absolutely. So generally, we will start with a bit of like a dynamic warm up with core included because we want us to go ahead and like kind of get that out of the way. I think a lot of people, myself included, hate core training. It's probably my least favorite thing to do. So by putting it first, I can go ahead and make sure I maximize, how much I'm trying to get out of it, and I can go ahead and get it out of the way, and then I'm looking forward to the rest of my workout. But yeah, I mean, you got to have a strong foundation. It's like building a house on sand. If you don't have the core strength and stability, then everything else is going to crumble. You're going to have injuries, and whatever else that comes along with that.
And do you encourage people, do you have a primarily young demographic of the people that you work with, or do you have older clientele as well?
I have all ranges. I have them as young as probably 13, 14, all the way up to about 75.
And do you approach those different ages very differently, or is it kind of a foundationally similar approach?
So you could say the outline is the same, but we scale down to the ability. So everyone is going to be doing some form of a movement pattern that's going to be very similar, but the loading may be different. Maybe it's on two legs, or maybe it's on one leg, so bilateral to unilateral, maybe more dynamic in nature. Some people may need to use a post or something to stabilize. So everyone is going to squat, hinge, push, pull, carry, just to varying degrees based on their abilities.
So this is right after the first of the year. This is traditionally, stereotypically, the busy season. Is that reflected in your own business, Keena?
It is. People start thinking about it for sure, like late December, and then, but the crowd usually doesn't come into the door until like late February.
Oh, really?
Actually, yeah.
Why do you suppose that is?
Because they're deciding. Some customers try. January is their trial month where they're deciding where they're going to call home for the rest of the year in terms of their fitness, facility or their approach to it. So for me, it usually peaks at around February.
Mm-hmm. Christy, do you see a big surge after the first? Okay.
Yeah.
Now, do you find that there's your regulars that are a little snooty about the people who are crushing into
Oh my gosh, they would never. The answer is yes. Yeah.
So how do you welcome the new people while keeping your, loyal, long time?
Well, I have to say, my Y members are amazing. They're always super sweet and accommodating, and so it's not really that big of a deal. But anytime I have a new person come into the class, no matter what time of the year, I will go up and introduce myself and find out about them and what they're looking for and what they're doing and help them set up and, make them feel at home. But everybody is welcome all time of the year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, what do you tell people who are starting and trying to establish a fitness routine? Eh, how do you encourage them to stick with it? What do you tell them to do to stick
Keep
with it?
coming.
Just keep
Just keep
coming.
coming. Yeah, even on the bad days, even when you don't feel like, just keep it in your routine.
Hmm.
There's no such thing as a bad workout, honestly. I mean, it's all your mentality. If you're not feeling good and you are like this, I don't want to go and this is horrible and it feels horrible, then it's going to feel horrible, But it's all about mentality. Keep your routine, keep going, you know, make a plan and stick with it, honestly.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Commitment is
Commitment.
the biggest part
Yeah.
of being
Yeah.
successful when you're trying to make changes in your fitness, in your health. You have to be committed.
Yeah.
Kent, do you just suggest people make changes in their overall wellness, or is fitness just a focus solely of what you encourage people to do when they're trying to kind of improve their overall health?
I would touch on just overall wellness. I
Mhm.
mean, fitness, whether that's you enjoy more cardio, you enjoy more strength training, you're more into group classes or, you know, partner training. I also think just getting out away from the TV, getting up, standing more, walking more, focus on your mental health, focus on the things that you enjoy. I tell a lot of my clients, like, whatever you enjoy and are more likely to do, that's what I want you to do. There's no one cure-all fitness for everyone. So find something that you like, find something that you're more likely to stick to, and kind of focus on that. And don't get so rigid in the beginning. Like so many people with New Year resolutions want to work out 5-6 days a week, and they want to change their diet. And I'm going to go to bed at 9 o'clock, and that's just not possible. Like that is not real life. Like that's not going to happen. So let's do small short-term goals, and let's expound upon that. So maybe let's focus on, hey, we do 2 days of weights this week and we do an additional day of cardio. And if we stick to that for 2 to 3 weeks, then we can add a little more. Like don't put so much on your plate that you completely change your lifestyle. This is, you're setting yourself up for failure if that's how you're going to go about it.
Yeah.
So just being more realistic about your goals in the beginning.
And it will start to chip away at your mental health because
Mhm.
it's just adding more anxiety because the goal isn't realistic. So if the probability is a big thing when you're trying to decide a frequency on how often to work out. You have to look and say, probability wise, how often can I move during the week? With kids, with work, with other activities. And that may only be twice a week. Well, there's your start because otherwise you could be feeding into
Mhm.
this negative feedback loop where you're anxious and trying to get everything
And
done.
setting yourself up to
Yeah.
fail.
Yes.
Can I piggyback on
Of
that?
course.
Because what Kent said, he's absolutely correct. But it's not just even with your workout. It's with, your diet, and I'm quotation diet, right? Like if you set an expectation and a goal for yourself that's just crazy, whether it's your workout routine, whether it's some fad diet or, whatever it is, if it's not something that you can maintain for the rest of your life, you're not going to stick with it. So you have to be, you have to know what you're capable of. You have to know, everybody knows themselves. They know what they're good at. They know what they're not good at. They know what they're going to do, what they're not going to do. So set, realistic expectations for yourself and just stick with it, and something that you can do for the rest of your life to remain healthy.
Well, Christy Jones, Kent Campbell, Lena, excuse me, I'm apologizing for mispronouncing your name, Keena Lampkins.
Mhm.
Thank you for being here.
No problem.
Great
Thank
to
you.
meet you all, and good luck with your New Year busy season.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.